What's up, bikers? Episode 206 of the Biker Bar podcast. Man, you think by now I would have some inclination in my blood or in my soul that would be like, hey, you should think about what you're saying before you hit that freaking go live button. And nope, it doesn't happen. Not at all. Today we're gonna have Cody Johnson on, and I'll be honest, I don't know much about him. I've been following him for a while on Instagram, and he's funny as hell. So we'll see where this goes. Anyways, before we get started, though, I want to talk real quick about some of the channel sponsors. Lately, I've been talking about RE Bikes. You guys know they've been riding their bikes for the last year. And instead of talking about one of their bikes today, I'm going to tell you this. It's Christmas time. They got 0% financing for 12 months. But this is the kicker. Yeah, it's direct to consumer. So how do you know if you like it? It's not like you can go to the bike shop, ride around in circles and be like, all right, this is great in a parking lot. I'm sure it'll be awesome downhill. No. So they have a love it or return it policy, I guess you would call it. So they send it to you. You ride it on your own trails and see how you like it. And you got 30 days. And after that, if you're not into it, you send it back. So that's pretty rad. I don't know of any bike shops that let you bring it back after a month. So it's definitely a one up there. And I think that they're pretty feel like they're pretty confident in their product. So I mean, they were confident enough to send me a frame, and I 100% had every ounce of my soul was ready to sell that frame before I got it, because I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this review and then I'm going to go buy me a Nomad. And then I rode the bike for a month, and sure as shit, here I am. So now I'm talking about RE Bikes on the podcast. Anyways, swing by RE Bikes or rebikes.com and take a look. Find one for yourself. Outside of that, Tasco is having their 12 days of Christmas sale. If you follow me on Instagram, I just recently posted one yesterday because their pants were half off. And today is $49 for 3 pairs of gloves. So that's actually a hell of a deal. So all of you that the rest of the year are complaining about Tasco stuff being too expensive for you, here's your chance, man. Live in the moment. Swing by Tasco and throw in the code B1KER. Maybe we'll save some money on top of it. I don't know. I doubt it, but it's worth a shot. Anyways, also, another brand that I talk about all the time is Cali Protectives. You guys know I've been riding their stuff pretty much since I started the channel. And I just wanted to mention that they have youth stuff. Let me spit that out. Too much vodka before the show. No, just kidding. So they have like youth knee pads and youth helmets and gloves. And so, like, for example, this one here is I can't remember the name. It's the Maya Full Face Child. So this one actually has a detachable chin bar. So you can get them a little half lid or full face and switch in between. This one, definitely use code B1Cali30, save 30%, and it'll make it a lot more affordable. So swing by CaliProtectives.com, check them out. Anyways, let's get Cody on and let's talk about bikes. What's up, man?
Hello, how's it?
How's life treating you? You're down in SoCal, right?
Yeah, I'm down in San Diego.
Oh, right on, man.
Yeah, life and man. Yeah. We're riding, so it's all good.
Yeah. What do you ride the most?
Probably e-bikes, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan at first, and then I got one, and I was like, I don't stop. So,
dude,
damn, I'm a convert. Hate me
it's
for
like
it.
story of everybody's life that just bought an e-bike, man. I've done my fair share of ridiculous rides,
Yeah.
and like on the analog bikes, and
Mhm.
I really thought for sure that when I got an e-bike that I would still do a lot of ridiculous rides, and then the e-bike would be like those days whenever I was going to shuttle or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just so much easier to be like, all right, well, I'm just going to put in freaking 6,000 feet today with like a shit ton of downhill. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah. No, I literally call it the smiles per mile ratio.
yeah.
It's just, you can't beat it. And like even in almost every scenario, it's better, other than like actual, I would say, like bike handling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in terms of like being able to like whip or whatever. But like, if I have a half hour or I have 3 hours, I can still almost double the amount of ground I can cover and like still be
Yeah.
just as tired in that time. So yeah, I enjoy
Yeah,
it.
I think the whole like you're definitely gonna have more fun. That's the I think
Oh, for
that's that
sure.
premise is there. But I think the part where people are like, it's the same workout, that part I completely call like 100% bullshit on.
Yeah, I think you stay. I'm not familiar with the zones, but you definitely stay in like a lower tempo zone.
Yeah,
But it is beneficial, like to be honest.
yeah,
And especially if you're riding not stopping, and
yeah,
then um, honestly, to me, like I know I'm riding the e-bike, my lower back is smoked.
yeah. No, and I can say that like my body's definitely tired when I'm done. It's not like I could get on my bike the next day and be like, wow, my legs are tired for sure. But if
Yeah,
you look at like, because I always wear a Garmin and I'm looking at like how many calories I'm burning,
yeah.
and my calorie burn is like less than half when I'm on the e-bike.
Oh, for sure. And I definitely do supplement it with like I have like a trainer inside, so like I call it like pain inside, fun outside.
Yeah,
Because like yeah, no, I can get on the trainer and do like a workout and be like gassed in 30 minutes, but like go ride
uh,
the e-bike for 3 hours and still be like, what next?
yeah. I mean, I just did. I was doing Zwift right before I came on, and I fucking hate that trainer. Like it's like a love really hate relationship, you know. What platform do you use for
I
training?
use Zwift too. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate the fucking comments on the screen that are like, "You should be feeling great right now." And you're like, "No, I'm freaking dying. Get out!" You know, like, yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
I did my whatever, like your VO2 max test a long
uh
time
huh.
ago. And like I haven't redone it because like no one likes doing that test. Like it's
That the
awful.
FTP test, yeah,
Yeah, it's awful. And so all my workouts are based on me being in like a little bit better shape. You know what I mean? So like I've been getting on Swift the past few weeks and did what was I on? Did. But no, I do love it because it's like no matter what time of day, you're gonna come across someone that's like a lot faster than you, and you're like, dude, what the is this dude on?
yeah.
It's
So
crazy.
do you ride on there or do you do the training program?
Um, a mix of both. I usually just ride on there because I'm usually just trying to motivate myself to pedal for at least like an hour. I
Yeah,
do the workout sometimes, but like I gotta be like feeling really motivated just to like
yeah.
hurt myself like that.
Yeah, that's the problem for me. I only do the training programs, so it's like, oh god, every time I walk into the garage, I'm like, oh, I hate you. I hate you.
No, it's honestly it's more of like a video game for me because I try to do all the levels and I try to unlock stuff and then like
Yeah,
I'll go through and try to like depending on how long I want to ride for, I'll try to PR on that route or
yeah,
whatever. I think that's why it's fun for me. But I did do a couple of races and that just hurt the soul.
yeah,
Uh, one of them, no chance. I think I entered a category that I was ambitious of. What was that was
yeah,
not the very bottom, and then even then I entered one that was the bottom, I don't know what it was. It was like low, and
yeah. You're like, I want to be on the race with people that have never been on a bike before.
yeah, no, seriously, dude. And like it took everything in me to not get last place. Like I was dang near in tears in the garage, just screaming at 7 in the morning on a Saturday. Come on, like yeah. And it was like a 20-minute race. I was gassed for 3 days. I'm like, oh, dude,
Yeah,
this is stupid.
I'm pretty sure that like those categories is like where all the pros just go to smash, like to like dominate. You know, it's kind of like real video games. You know what I mean? Where like if you're in a clan and you game all the time, you just go pubbing and just destroy
Oh,
people.
for sure. But like I will attest that like the when I was like racing a whole bunch, I started like road riding and I was like, oh, like I have a ton of bike handling skills. Road riding will be easy, like easy peasy. And then I got my doors blown off by an old man on the coast with,
Right.
he looked like he could be my grandpa, but I pulled up to a stoplight and this fool left me. And I was like, okay. And I was riding another time and it was two, you know, heavier gentlemen. And I was like, okay. These dudes left me while talking. talking. And I was like, and the next time it happened, I asked dude, I was like, hey man, like how long you been riding for? He's like, oh man, I ride about 15 years, you know, a couple days a week. It's like, and that's when I realized, like, yo, old man strength is a thing. Like, it is like so real, and like I try to tell myself that to feel better about myself about getting my doors blown off, specifically on Zwift and Lacoste. But
I'll
yeah,
say this. You know, like the channel Sid and Mackie,
no.
the YouTube channel. Anyways, Mackie, they're professional riders, right?
Mhm.
So, and then they just do a YouTube channel as well. And Mackie is strong as fuck, right?
Yeah.
Like I could ride something that I've seen him ride on my e-bike, and I'll have a similar time to him on his analog bike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
Where it's just like, oh wow, that's what it's like if you get to have an extra 150 watts at your disposal. So, anyways, that dude did a Zwift race, and he also was getting like dominated. So it was definitely one of those things where I think some of those Zwift races, it's like also like knowing how to like play within the parameters of the game too.
For sure. Yeah.
Where they have like little one-ups and power-ups and things that you can use, and if you use them at the right times or whatever, like
I didn't even get that far into it. I was just trying not to pass out.
right.
Like, I couldn't. I just trying to keep the screen on, just so I can. Nah, yeah. I don't know, and especially like once I started becoming, especially through Zwift, I was able to like become like more aware of my power. And then like, be watching the tour and you see some dudes like average power for the day, and you're like, wait, dog, what? That was his average? Like,
Right.
for how?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
never really knew what watts was to have any kind of perspective to it until I started doing Zwift. And it was like, at this point, it's been a couple years ago. I always just rode outside. I hated, like, I would make fun of anybody that did Zwift, on a regular basis. And anybody was like, hey, you should try it. I'd be like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm going outside. Right. And one of my buddies was like super busy with his life, and he started doing it. And we went from being similar riders to him just dropping me like I was standing still.
Yeah,
And I'm
for sure.
like, what the hell is going on here? I'm like riding 5-6 days a week, and you're riding like 3 or
Yeah.
whatever the hell it is. I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like, I never see you out here, and he's just dropping me. So I was like, all right. I asked him what he was doing. He's like, I'm doing this training plan on Zwift. And I was like, all right, I'm going to give it a shot. And then I learned what a real pain cave is, and then B, what the watts are. And it's like, it really like, it's funny because it changes the way that you think about stuff, even when you are riding.
Oh yeah.
Because you're like, I went out and got a power meter for my bike later,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, okay, well, how much power am I putting out on these climbs,
Yeah.
And then you look down and you're like thinking like, oh, this is hard. And you look down and you're like, oh, I'm only at like 250 watts. I know I can do 315 for like 3 minutes. So like, shut up, you pussy. Like,
Yeah. No, and that for sure, it one gave me a numeric value to effort, but two, like let me know what I was capable of on a regular basis.
right.
Because there's some times where you're just like, you're just not feeling it. And like you're warming up and you're looking at the screen, you're like, yo, I'm like down 20, down 30, just warming up. And you're like, no, like this is what we should be at. You get to this and you're like, okay, this sucks, but this is what we need to be at.
Right.
And that has been really cool. And not that I'm like, super strict on that training, but like when I do it, it is nice to go up in weight metaphorically, you know what I mean? And be able to see and track that. And that's why I love Zwift. Like,
I pretty much only use it in the wintertime, just to like supplement when it's raining and because it gets dark out so much earlier and stuff. But it is crazy how effective it is.
For sure.
Yeah. Right on, man. So like, how long you been riding bikes?
Forever.
Yeah, pretty much since you were a kid.
I got a bicycle when I was 3, a dirt bike when I was 4, started racing BMX and dirt bikes at 7. Not very seriously, but we trail rode every weekend. My dad was a big trail guy, so I didn't get to go to the track much, except when I raced. But it was always like GP style races. So I did like Adelanto GP and like
What does GP mean?
GP is like a single moto. So instead of a traditional where it's like two motos and it gets like those get scored together, it's just like one long one. So they'd be like usually 45 minutes to like an hour and a half, depending on like the race.
Got it.
But it was just like nothing crazy, just like race beginner for, you know, what seems like ever. It's like I didn't get to race that much. Then I got into mountain bikes when my parents got divorced in like 6th grade. I started bashing around on a hardtail. Let's see. Then I got a full suspension in, what was that? I think that was like 9th grade. And then I got an
So
Iron
you're
Horse.
pretty much like a BMX kind of guy when you were younger, and then started getting into like mountain bikes in high school-ish time zone.
I did everything, to be honest. I rode scooters, I rode skateboards, and I didn't really ride that much. Like I raced BMX for probably like 2 or 3-ish years when I was younger, maybe ages like 7 to 10, and then I just rode and like just adventured around with my friends and like
I never raced BMX, but I just rode BMX all the time. So it would be like during the week, it was like ride BMX with your buddies after school and go like knock down all the trash cans in town and the recycling bins and kickouts on everything. And then on the weekends, I would ride mountain bikes with some older guys. Just here I am now, fucking hella years later.
But
so those of you guys that are listening on the podcast, Cody's sitting in a garage full of bikes. So there's no lack of bikes behind him. So he's definitely fully committed into riding bikes at this point.
You could, fully would be on an understatement.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so you said you got into like racing and stuff. When
I got into high school, I saw it was like the New World Disorder with the hamster wheel. That was on demand on Time Warner Cable, and I would watch that every day after school. And then and I think there was like another one, I forgot which one that was, but there was like a video part of downhill racing, and I was like, Mom, I'm gonna race downhill. And she's like, sweetie, that's stupid. How do you get up the hill? And like she walks away.
Dude, like, wait, in like 20 years, they're gonna have bikes with motors in them.
Dude, she had no idea at the time, but that was the beginning of the end. So I just raced like Fontanas and like Seattle from starting in like high school, and then I was like, I want to like try racing pro.
That's air quotes for you guys listening.
And then I was like quick, but I hadn't really gone anywhere, and that's like the trouble with a lot of places that are like have good riding. There's a lot of really fast kids that just never gone anywhere, and so let's see. I got onto Donnie's team, Southridge, and oh geez, I don't know if I should say this. Anyhow, they sorted us with some bikes that were I wouldn't identify as adequate.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if you remember angle sets.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, rest in peace, David K. Miss you, buddy. This older guy at the team, he was apparently in charge of telling foes like, hey, like we want this. And I don't know if he told Donnie and Donnie told them. I don't know. Regardless, when I got on this downhill bike, I sat on this downhill bike and it was so slack the front fork wouldn't compress.
Oh shoot!
I was like, yo, what? And they were like, oh, yeah, no, the trail seems to be steep. And I was like, all right, yeah, that makes sense. I was like, I don't fucking know, dude. I'm fucking 17. I don't give a shit. Give
Yeah,
me
right.
all this kit and shit. Like, I just need to shut the fuck up and ride.
Right.
Oh my gosh. I do one run. I think it was like went back when they did downhill races at Woodward West on this fucking bike. And dude, the front fork wasn't compressing. We had these dog crap butt tires that were just like not working in the grass. I'm just like slipping and sliding all over the place on this, like, not even like a downhill trail, dude. It was a walking path. And I'm just barely getting down the same, like, yo, like,
Yeah. Maybe a catch berm or two would be great, guys.
What did you guys just give me? Like, what the So I was like, all right. So I took the bike home. I was like, all right, I gotta do something. So I went and got an ankle set, and I put it in backwards, bro.
Oh shoot. Yeah. You're trying to steepen it instead of slacking.
No shit. I ran an ankle set backwards for the whole year and sold it with the ankle set in backwards.
Oh, nice.
I forgot how unslack I put it or whatever, but like, oh jeez, that was rough. And then they like.
So you started traveling with that team that you were on?
Not really. Like, they were like, it was like I went east to the East Coast, but like Donnie wasn't helping me, so I'm like, fuck this, folks. I'm gonna take my bike. So fucking, I had a sweet demo at the time. I was getting some bikes that weren't supposed to exist, so I had some cool bikes.
Yeah.
At the time, and then so I was like, I'm just gonna take my demo. So I took the demo, and this is back before social media was really big. So like, basically raced the whole weekend, and then I wadded so bad. It was so lame. So I think there wasn't what was it? There wasn't. This is at Highland, I think, and they didn't put I crashed crossing a bridge. What's that called? It's like chicken wiring or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I weeded it because I came in hot, slid across the bridge, and just whatever. So I'm like going to my friend's house, and his house is like it's like 3 stories or whatever. It's like a basement and everyone. I'm broke the fuck off, hobbling up this dude's house after traveling and racing and all that crap because my flight's the next day. And I get a call, and you took your own bike. Like, in my head, I was like, I paid for it. Screw you. He was, oh man, dude, that call did not go well.
Yeah.
But we came to an understanding, and I was on the foes at the next race, reluctantly. Yeah. And then.
So you had mentioned earlier that a lot of guys go pro and they haven't traveled, and I think that what you said there actually is like really like a valuable lesson that you learn when you travel.
And you don't know until you've dropped a bag on traveling, bag getting your bike together, and you're face down on the ground first practice run.
Yeah, well, not only that, it's just like you think to yourself, like, oh, I can ride these sick trails where I live, like, and I can like lay it down. You go somewhere else, and it's like just the dirt is a little different, or the rocks is a little different, or the way that they build is a little different, and you're like, what the hell's going on? Like, I'm like I took like 3 steps backwards showing up here,
Sure, yeah, and especially in like, I know the California boys struggle because our average trail speed is a lot faster.
Right.
And so like take like anybody, really most people from the like SoCal that race downhill, like they're shuttling one of 2 places. It's going to be Crestline or it's going to be Laguna. Both of those trails, average trail speed's over 20, 25 miles an hour, depending on who you are. You go to the East Coast, bro, trails aren't like that. They are not that pin. They are not that pin. And even then, if you go off trail in California, it's fine. You can weed it into the bushes. Bro, you go off trail in Port Angeles, you're not making it more than 2 feet because that stuff is so dense, bro. You're just, no.
Well, and the other thing, too, is back east is like, we don't deal with leaves out here in California.
No.
So it's like, I'm from Pennsylvania, and I hadn't ridden mountain bike back home in a long time. And last, like 2 years ago or something, I went home and I was like, dude, I'm a fucking badass rider now. Like I'm not the guy I was in high school. And I go out and I'm like, first thing I'm like, oh, I'm just going to do this little 45-minute climb and it'll be like 15 minutes tops and I'll be back at the bottom, right? No, that's not the way it goes. You do the climb and then you get on the trail and you're like, yeah, I'm not doing 20 miles an hour. I'm doing like 10. And then you're like looking at the leaves and you're like, oh, there's just this nice little turn right here. No, it's actually buried a bunch of fucking roots and rocks under there that are just gonna grab. Oh, dude, I ran into something under the leaves, completely sunk my fork over the handlebars, like javelin my handlebars into my stomach so bad they like came out of my spine. It's like upside down, laying on the ground, like, okay, well, I guess I'm not as good of a rider as I thought I was.
And like I was okay around here, but it was a time I was like racing nationals and like actually I went to Brazil to get my UCI points and I went to Pan Am's and it was so lame. I just like I didn't ask to get my bike looked at and my bike just like misshifted like a motherfucker. And then I ended up getting like I think it was like 11th or something like that. But because Pan Americans carried so many points, bro, I was like number 4 in the US, technically, looking at UCI points.
Right on, man.
So when we went to national champs, and I looked at the seating list, I was like, yo, what the fuck? Like, why am I in front of like Lucas Shaw and like a bunch of other people? I was like, yo, what's up with this? And they're like, oh, look at your points. And I was like, yeah. Yeah, look at the points. Fuck me, yeah. And but anyway, so I was on the East Coast. I was gonna do 2 nationals and I was gonna do the World Cup. I was like, okay, bet. And I was like, I didn't transition my speed well, and it was because the East Coast trails are slower, and it just takes one tree and everything's out of whack.
Yeah.
I fucking what was it? It was at Snowshoe, dude. I leveled myself. Like I woke up half a straightaway in a turn where the last time I opened my eyes was some dude's looking at me like, bro, you good? No, what the fuck? Like, how did we get here? I was racing. Like, what happened? And I was like, yo, if I go to Wyndham, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Like, there's not like if I blow off track on a track like that, like this is gonna happen, but worse. Right. And I like told my mom, I said, I need to come home. Like, I can't do this. Like, let's get ready for Whistler, do something else. Like, I couldn't and I really wasn't going that fast, but it was fast enough to be like, like.
What happened? What was it that caused it?
It's actually funny because it used to be a part of the World Cup track, and it was just like kind of flowing through the trees, and I literally just clipped a bar barely. I didn't go down from that, but the next thing just domed a tree.
Oh no.
And then I fell over, and then they pulled me over the berm. I was in front of them. I was like, oh, cool. I'm glad someone told me this and then I don't remember this. That's great.
Right. Yeah, there's clips, sometimes it doesn't make you wreck, but then it's got you off, and then because you're trying to recover from that, then you're and good night.
When you're going anywhere decent kind of speed, it just happens so quick, dude.
The other thing I noticed about back east, at least where I was riding, they don't have as much steep as we have out here, and maybe just in the area that I was in, but it's definitely the hills generally are a little more gradual.
Yeah.
Where here, we have some stuff. I mean, I'm sure you've probably ridden Santa Cruz, and it's you look, you're like, wait a minute, that's a wall. That's not a trail.
That's not a trail. There's also places have you been to Plattekill?
No, I haven't been there.
Granted, my experience there might be a little skewed because it was snowing, which might have made it horrendously gnarly. But yeah, it's like snowed in July when I went. I was so upset, dude. Like I didn't even have a hoodie. Actually, I ended up going to a thrift store and I bought a one-piece ski suit because I had to borrow my friend's hoodie or my friend's dad's hoodie, and he's five. He was like 5'5", bro. I'm 5'11". Like hoodie came down here. So like I got to figure something out. So I got that ski. I still have the ski suit actually, but yeah, no, dude, and that felt steep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Like I said, I mean, it could be just where I was riding the last time I was back there, but in general, it seems like the hills have a little bit more of a slower camber to them. But yeah, it's definitely like I think what you were saying earlier too about the higher speeds here is definitely a thing because like last week I had outbound lighting on, and when their lights first came out, that was one of the things that I was telling Tom, one of the owners, is like, I just need a little bit more light because I feel like I'm going a lot faster than maybe most other people. You know what I mean? And not that I'm just some amazing rider, but I think we just have out here these like long straightaways where if you go and ride somewhere like Bentonville or you know other places, like usually their trails are like taking a lot of turns and twists and they're in the trees, and we'll have these like wide open expanses where there's nothing for the light to bounce off of, and you're just going mock Jesus, and it's like, dude, I need to be able to see just a little bit further, and it only took a couple of years of me complaining before they brought out a new light, and then here we go. Now they got the portal.
Dude, they actually they used to do night races out of Fontana, and they did an okay job at lighting it. There'd be a couple spots and where you couldn't see it, so they like finally let you bring your own lights. But at the time, no one really made good lights. I think like Baja Designs made one, like the only good one, and like that's even back when they had their freaking those battery
Huge battery. Yeah. It's like, oh, you could put this in your
water
bottle cage.
Yeah. It weighs 5 freaking pounds. But
yeah, it's basically like the weight of an e-bike motor, just in your bottle cage.
And even then, the Baja Designs ones were like $800. You know what I mean? I was like, no. So my friend, he worked at Performance, and he used his shop deal to get some like crappy Magic Shine lights. And I remember like taping those to the top of my visor, and like you would still just outride it, and like it was fun. Like luckily you could practice during the day, so you could see like you knew what was coming, but it was it's kind of just just hope it works out.
Yeah, I think night riding really helps you ride better because it makes you ride looser because you don't have that like depth perception as well. It's something about the color of the light. It makes it harder to tell like, hey, that's a big ass rock. It just looks like there's a rock there. You're like, okay, I'm gonna maneuver that. So you have to ride a little looser. And I think that at least I noticed in years where I spent a lot of time night riding, like during the winter or whatever, I feel like I come into the spring a stronger rider, just being able to ride looser, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I used to do a good bit of night riding. I could never have, like at the time, I didn't really have anybody that really could pedal. So I would just have my friends just follow me around on a pit bike. So like we'd go on the trails, and I would just be pedaling at night times, and they'd be following me with a pit bike.
That's awesome, man.
And like it was, I think for me, it makes you focus a lot more because you can't space out on anything. Like you actually can't look away. Like the light's gone. Like can't do that.
Right.
And then going. It's like we used to try to go kind of quick at nighttime because like at one point sometimes there used to be like a lot of people on the trails depending on like what trail system you're on. Especially if you're like going for a KOM, like there's like a person that's never good. It's usually never good because there's like a lot of blind crests and whatnot, and like
it's
all bad. So started trying at nighttime for a little bit, And then like we ran into the problem of outriding the light. And then like it's fun because you do kind of just have to like relax and trust what you saw because you can't look at it again. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like in your scanning, like, was that a big rock or was it kind of like I don't know. Like, I just have to relax.
And the shadows will fuck with you too, you know.
Oh,
so it'll make it look bigger, or is that a dent, a divot, or it looks like it's not because maybe your buddy's in front of you and it's just enough dust there that it looks like it's solid ground, and guess what? It's not, you know.
Oh, wait. So question, when you ride by yourself, do you ride with headphones or no headphones?
Oh, always headphones.
Dude.
But see, I use those, well, I mean, for a long time I used regular like headphones, but I would always use something that didn't fit my ear very well, so it would kind of be like loose in there, so I could still kind of hear around. But now I use those aftershocks. If you've never used those bone conducting ones, it totally changes the world.
I've heard about those.
You can 100% hear everything around you, and it sounds like the music's just coming from like inside your brain.
That's weird.
Yeah, so it's really rad because then you can like, you know, you can still hear like the dirt under your wheels and everything. So, but what were you going to get at about the headphones? That's what I want.
If you ever stop on a night ride without headphones, how ears trails are. Like, yeah, I gotta get up out of here. This is.
Oh yeah, well, and I've been a slower climber pretty much my entire life. Even now, it's like it doesn't matter how strong I get. My friends are always stronger. So like,
my climb
like you're on a night ride,
I could just do it for longer. My climb speed will stay the same. I could just do it for longer.
Right, exactly, or faster. You know, and it's like I can go faster, but now we're doing bigger climbs. That's great. You know, so but man, I can tell you stop and it sounds like there's a whole herd of Sasquatches out there just coming for you. Realistically, it's probably like 2 field mice, you know, but man, it just sounds like trees are breaking in half and stuff. You're like,
a branch breaks, you're like, PR.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, definitely had those moments. But yeah, have you ever seen a mountain lion on the trail?
Not a mountain lion. I've seen a bobcat.
Okay.
So there used to be this old a tomato farm in between all these housing developments, and back when we were degenerates, me and my friends would ride our dirt bikes on the streets and meet there. But the landowners, they had these illegals living in some of the buildings to keep people out because they still had like a ton of equipment out, like they had like quads, cars, like a bunch of crap, like.
Right.
And so again, we were just degenerates, so we rode our dirt bikes up to the people living there, and we're like, "Hey, who's the owner? Does he care if we ride here?" And so these dudes got on the phone with some dude. Some dude's like, "Hey, what's up?" And dude, this is wild. I can't believe I remember this. And this dude's like, "Yeah, just don't mess with anything and leave them alone." So we were like, "Okay, cool." So for like the next summer and like winter, we would meet there 1 to 2 times a week. And it was like, dude, it was like full on motos because it was like tilled fields. And so like, dude, like I remember like dragging, like first day I dragged Radiator Strat, I was like, moto dream made, just okay. But one day I was riding by myself, and I don't know why I was like had the bike leaned up against the tree, and like it's back when like Leap braces are cool, so like still had my Leap brace on, like helmet's leaned on, and a little baby bobcat pops out, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "Oh no! Oh no! 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 Oh no! 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 No!" And this thing was tiny, bro. I was like.
Right.
I'm like in this field, I was like literally throwing rocks by myself, and like, and this thing was like not that far away. I was like, "Oh, me fuck me!" Like I didn't even like. It's like, okay, this thing dipped back into the tree line. I was like, I gotta go. We're leaving right now. And I was just so panicked for the next like 3 minutes, just like didn't even put my goggles on, didn't even strap my helmet. I just like got on the bike, jumped, and just rode away. I was like, and like I see them now, and I'm a little like more aware of them because there's a family that lives in like a canyon near me, and so like in the morning sometimes I'll see them. But at the time, that was my first time seeing one, and I couldn't tell if it was a mountain lion or bobcat from far away, but like I wasn't trying to find out.
Yeah, I was riding this trail that it has like pretty tight little corners at the beginning of it, so it's every, I don't know, let's just say every like 20 yards or so it's a blind corner, right? So you're just riding along this, and I came around one of these corners, and there's a freaking mountain lion like ass to me going down the trail the same direction as me, right? And at this point it's probably at most maybe like 10 yards in front of me, so it's not coming at me, it's like trying to get the fuck out of there too.
What's
And I'm like, huh?
What's it running from? Fuck.
Right? Yeah. Well, it must be thinking there's a fucking elephant coming down the trail with me like rattling all over the place, huffing and puffing. Right. So I remember thinking to myself, like, oh shit, what do you do? What do you do? Oh, make a lot of noise. So I start like, right, making all these noises, and it seemed like we were following each other for an eternity. It was probably like 5 seconds. You know what I mean? But and then all of a sudden it just decided to like not be on the trail anymore, and it turned right and just like jumped like 10 feet up this fucking cliff.
Yeah.
And first of all, how the hell did it just disappear like that?
Right.
And then second, like as soon as I couldn't see that damn thing anymore, the fear just set in, because now I'm like, am I being hunted? So then it's like, I'm not going to take the time to stop and turn around. I'm just going to like pedal as hard as I can. But it's like, then you're like, oh shit, dude. Like, is it back there? Like, oh, now I'm going to get him. Like, oh yeah. I remember just being like pedaling so hard because it was an out and back trail, until I like started like catching people that were coming my direction. And I was like, hey, there's a mountain lion back there. And I'm thinking, okay, if he's going to eat somebody, he's going to eat them. I got like 2 or 3 people between me. He'll be really good and full by the time I'm coming back. Yeah. And then like 2 or 3 weeks later, I was out on that same trail, and it was one of those nights where you like get all the, or days that you get all the mechanicals, and I start coming back, and it's like dusk, and it's like the sun setting, and I'm like, oh God, I just seen a mountain lion out here. Like, I know they're here. Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely it was an eye-opening experience for me, for sure.
I mean, they're people here are pretty aware of them, but it's it's just scary, because like, when we do ride, or I do ride sometimes, they'll be like kind of out there like by myself.
Yeah.
But the other thing is like, these things can cover, what's it, like 100 miles in a day.
Yeah.
And like, it's like probably like once or twice a year someone spots one, but it'll be like 10 or 15 miles away. And I'm like,
right.
Next few days of riding are just pretty eerie. You're just like, because there was a kid got attacked like in the middle of the day down here, probably like
really
2 or 3 years ago. It was like family hiking at like the local hiking spot. So like,
that's what I always tell myself. It's a hiker, dude. As long as it's not a mountain biker, I'm like, oh, see, they don't like mountain bikes. They're too scary.
Dude, it was a child. Like the dad like got the lion because like the mountain lion was trying to get the kid.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and then kid survived, and they got the mountain lion. They got their get back.
Yeah, I think I remember that, because it was like that
was like,
because the dad just like went like full commando on like punching the cat, right?
Like, what do you do? Like, actually, right? What the fuck do you do? You know what I mean? Like,
the thing I always think about is like, anybody who's ever had a kitten, that thing is like 2.5 pounds, and whenever it decides to fuck you up, like your arms are just shredded, and they have these little teeny tiny claws that are like 1/4 of an inch long.
Yeah.
Now turn that cat into a 110, 115 pound cat that has claws like rah.
Yeah, and multiply that strength. Like that thing's gonna ruin your day. Like
everything about your day is gonna be done. Dude.
Like, like I don't even know what I would do.
I always think to myself that I would like, if it was like attacking, like I'd try to get my fingers in its eyes. I don't know if that's gonna do anything. There's that, and then I had this other thought of just like trying to stick my fist like as far down their throat as possible. Just choke them out. I don't know. Those are my two plans. What's your plan?
Uh, maybe like try to bear hug it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't feel like that's gonna work. I think you're screwed.
I think so too. That's why I got. It's like I guess it would depend. Like, do you see it coming, or are you just riding along and just
So
like
my understanding is most of the time, if they attack you, they come from behind, and they usually go for like your neck. So that's why they have like people that are in areas that are high concentrations of mountain lions that they're worried
Mhm.
about it. They'll actually put reflective eyes on the back of their helmet or their hat, because then the cat thinks it's actually the front of you instead of the back of you. So but yeah, basically that's my understanding, is that it's going to go for that like area back there. So they're trying to take you down in the first shot.
yeah. I guess it's just trying to mess up the face the best you
Yeah,
can. I guess that's all you get because you're
yeah,
probably not gonna like body shot this thing, you know?
yeah, I don't think so, man. Yeah, like
Like,
just judging on, have you ever tried to like break up a dog fight or something like that? Like, and those like the dogs that I've ever been in that circumstance with, are not as big as a freaking mountain lion,
for
and
sure.
you could pop one in the chest, dude, as hard as you could, and the dog would be like, "I'm still eating this other one, dude. Fuck you,"
Yeah.
like. So I'm just judging that off of okay, now a mountain lion that's hungry and wants to thinks I'm dinner, and you want to put up a fight, do you?
Oh, I think there's for sure a difference between like domesticated and like wild strength for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Uh,
But I mean, one way or another. Yeah, I think as a mountain biker, there's a lot of times that we just you get so accustomed to riding trails, and you kind of almost start thinking of trails like they're roads, and
yeah.
this is a safe area. It's a road here, and then you get out in the middle of somewhere, and all of a sudden there's a bear and its cubs, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's
You been
right. I am not on the top of the food chain,
have you been a Whistler?
Yeah, I have. The
Dude,
Whistler, the what do they call them? The Whistler cows.
dude, I was up there this past year. I was just, riding black home by myself, just tuned out headphones, pedaling up the road, and I literally looked to my right, and there's just like a bear just like staring at me. And I was just like, whoop. And we're like 20 feet away from each other. He's just staring at me, and I was like, I just kept going up the road, and he just kept staring at me, and I was like, okay, well, I guess we're committed. Okay, I think I did like Dark Crystal or something like that. But I was just like, I literally I had no idea he was there until I
Yeah,
just like looked up and was like, oh,
that's grizzly country up there too, man. Those are like a different kind of bear in that area.
luckily it wasn't a grizzly,
Yeah,
thankfully, but because like grizzlies are substantially bigger than
yeah,
the
and they're also like zero fucks given about attacking a person. Like a
yeah
black bear, for the most part, is like kind of what you're talking about, where they're
yeah
like, yeah, oh, look at that guy. Maybe
yeah
he'll drop some Skittles,
yeah.
like, yeah. But a grizzly will be like see you from the other side of a lake, and they can run like 30-35 miles
Yeah.
an
Oh, I
hour.
have no shot. E-bike tops
Yeah,
out at 20. We're fucked.
yeah,
Like no.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh shit, there's a bear on the other side of that lake. No, he's not going to swim across
Yeah.
that lake. He's going to run around that lake, and you better be 25 feet away from your car, because
Yeah.
otherwise you're fucked.
Yeah. Because he can smell you even then. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
no.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Good times, man. Did you see that movie Cocaine Bear?
no,
You
actually, I
have
haven't
to see
seen
it.
it.
It's definitely like it wasn't what I was expecting, but it's like that worst case scenario over and over again, with a bear that's allegedly just whacked out of his mind on blow. So it's definitely it's pretty comical.
I mean,
If you're into like gruesome comedy, sort of.
uh, eh, not really a gory guy. I love
I'm not a super gory guy, but it was definitely one of those ones. The way that it was set up, I was like, okay. Like
yeah,
Saw, to me, for example, it's like I saw the first one. I was like, okay, that was pretty intense. That's not really. I don't need to see the next 16 of them,
yeah.
But this one was like, okay, that was pretty funny. that bear just ripped that dude's arms off. You know. Okay. I'll crack a smile. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So what gets you into the social media side? So you're doing this pro riding for a while, and
to be honest, I just like making bike videos, bro. Like that's just like it's just fun to me that to ride my bike and then try to pair it with music to give myself a feeling when I see it, and then let everyone else have their own interpretation of it. So like to me, it's always just been like I just like making bike videos and like riding and like pushing myself. And then like the marketplace thing was just like an accident. Like
yeah,
I still don't know what we're doing with it. It's fun, but like I forgot why, but I just like posted it on my story as a joke. And then like
so you ran into some bike. Do you even remember what it was?
I honestly don't. I think I don't know. I think I just saw something and was like, this is dumb, and like posted
Yeah.
on my story. And then I was like, huh. So I started just posting on my story a bunch, but it was like a bunch of effort to be putting on my story. But I was also like a little like self-conscious because it's a little weird, bro. I'm just like sitting in the garage, just like talking shit to my phone. Like,
Right.
I don't know if I'm funny. Like, I could just be an asshole. It's just
Right.
grumpy. And so I literally like it took literally over a month that I was like, okay, I'm just gonna post on. I'm just gonna post on. I'm just gonna post on and see how it does. I'm just gonna post it. And I just did it for the longest time. And then I posted. I finally just did one. And it did okay. And then like I did a couple more, and they like out of those first couple, two of them did pretty well. And I was like, oh, okay, that's not so bad. Because it's like it's weird for me to post myself not riding. Like I'm not a smart guy. Like I don't know. You know what I mean? Like what do I have to offer the world? You know?
Right.
But through it's like buying and selling and like racing and having to like fix my own crap, I developed this weird cesspool of knowledge of the current market and bikes, and to be able to share that like a comedic way, I think has been really fun.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning this because I never thought I would be this person. Like,
Yeah.
I always thought I was just a bike rider, and like that was it. And now it's
Yeah.
like,
It's
but
turning into a thing.
it's turning into a thing. I was looking at it the other day, and it's literally like a 2-to-1 view ratio versus me talking about a bike versus me riding a bike. And I was like, you for real right now? Like,
It feels like, on social media, like right now, at least the current like state of things is that anything funny is really what seems to get the most traction. It's like you know what I mean? Like
hard to be gnarly these days. Like, are you like I mean, some kids can just go out to Rampage and hit that stuff on a Thursday and post it on, not even post it, just put it on their story. And you're like, dude, this kid just three some like I'm not gonna do that. And like,
right.
even then it's like, okay, I can do some like pump track stuff, but like, bro, like some of that stuff is hard, man. And it's like I can't like double to land manual to like nose tap like every time. Like I can do some stuff, but like I feel like there's such an overwhelming amount of gnarly stuff that people are truly desensitized.
Yeah.
Like the fact that there's kids out here that are like under 10 flipping sets, like that's mind-boggling. That's mind-boggling. There's one kid, he's like 11 or 12. I refuse to follow him because my pride would just hurt seeing his story every day. But flip 3 and truck, and like he hasn't seen a boob yet. And I'm like, dude, are you kidding me right now? Like,
yeah.
Super cooked, bro. I better get funny. It's the only way I'm gonna stay relevant.
I better get funny.
Me, man. Like,
yeah, there's definitely some there's some winners out there for sure. And it's funny because it's whenever you're the one selling your bike, I feel like I have a pretty good like like sense of like what a realistic price is for selling things. Yeah, like you were saying, I've sold enough used bikes where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna start at this number because this is my number of like
hopes and dreams. This is the dealer.
yeah. I hope some dude that's just like got this big paycheck. Oh man, that's the bike I really wanted, and he just gives it to you. But then in my mind, I know realistically where that thing's more than likely going to sell at, and if I get anything more than that, I'll be lucky. And pretty much all the time, it's right around that spot that I hit. Maybe it'll be a little bit lower, like 100 or 200 less than that, but for the most part, pretty on it. But there's a lot of people that have zero clue what something is worth, you know, and I think you tapping into that there's an infinite amount of material, you know.
It's literally I was literally one of the things that like I guess like I kind of thought about is I got like a little overwhelmed at first when I started making videos because I was like, dude, I don't really have to look hard for these ads. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I don't even search things. I just click like just the first page, and I was like, oh my god, like dude, I have one queued up right now. It's like Paris Hilton's beach cruiser. This lady wants $5,000 for a Huff, but no, it's a Mongoose, the little aluminum California license plate that says Paris. I'm like, what?
I can hear you right now. 5 racks.
But so it's actually funny because like the market went through a bunch of different life cycles with a quickness, and it's funny because like back when I first started buying and selling, this was like before COVID, and like people didn't really care, so I could kind of clean up, like, you know, especially someone selling parts, I could go there for one part and usually get the rest of that dude's toolbox for pretty cheap.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened, and complete bikes were really hard to get.
Yeah.
And so my buying and selling kind of almost came to a standstill because like I just couldn't get anything. But then what I noticed is, especially during the early bits of COVID, dude, is like everyone's dumping their parts and frames. So I could build up a bike in like 2 or 3 days off of just Marketplace, and like I usually offer up. Like I'd find a frame and a fork, and then you just literally just build some parts. Like literally just driving around the county, just building bikes. I could build a bike in like 3 or 4 days, depending on like I would usually do 1, maybe 2 at a time. And I could build bikes for COVID in 2, almost 3x my money.
Yeah, it was ridiculous, honestly. Like it was the time to sell anything you had in your garage for sure.
But no, and this was early. I should have been stocking up. I shouldn't have been selling. I literally should have stocked up, because then it got to a point where then I couldn't even find frames. I couldn't find parts.
Yeah.
And I dried up big time. And then that's when people were selling, you know, whatever for whatever, dude. Like my sister sold one of her old Lives to Pro Closet for over $6,000.
Yeah.
Bike blue book for the win, baby. Like, like you guys are, oh my god. And it was like an ad. I think it sat on that website until that thing closed. Like I was like, you guys are so dumb. Like
they still have it in the warehouse.
they're closed now. But I was like,
I heard somebody bought them. I read something not too long ago that somebody bought it and was trying to like bring it back to life or something like that. So
dude, I mean, that's too big for my blood. I love like I as shitty as it sounds, I do love when companies go under, because I get really into the liquidating. And there's actually there's one company they straight up went to auction, and it was like on it's like one of the major asset auction pages. And dude, I was on an auction for like 2 hours just trying to bid on frames, forks, this, that, and
oh nice.
And I got roached out of everything. I think I bid on like, I think it was like 20, 25 lots. I was so annoyed. I was like, are you kidding me? Oh my god,
Very
bro, not the time.
Silent. Flip the switch, man. You'll be good. Yeah, it's crazy. Like what they were paying. Cause I remember I had a bike that I was like, man, I wonder. I don't want to deal with freaking selling it at the time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I was like, I'm gonna hit them up and just see what they wanted. And then the number they threw at me, I was like, holy shit! If they're willing to give me that, like in my mind, I'm like, I should be able to get more than that than private party, you know? So I ended up listing it and just I ended up selling it for like pretty much what they were going to give it to me for, or what they were going to give me for it. But that told me that okay, that was actually the market price. And then they were going to go and mark that up, you know, another $2,000 or $1,500. So it was like, of course it's not going to sell, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's very. I haven't. Oh. Oh my gosh, my sister, she was watching. She sold that. She sold the Live for $7,600.
Jesus.
But whatchamacallit? She completely distracted me. She.
We were talking about the prices of things that you could sell them for. The
Oh
market
my
price.
gosh. Oh, okay. And so yeah, I think when I've never seen a buy and sell shop like that sell bikes at a reasonable price.
Yeah.
I think I saw I think they followed me on Instagram. And they had a few, but it was like a 2016 and they still wanted like $3,200 for it. And it was like, no.
Yeah.
I think there was a shop in Orange County. So I was looking for an e-bike a few months ago, and they had a YT decoy, and they had it for, it was like $3,400. So I was like, okay, well, yeah, I can go on the YT website. I can wait a month, and it's $3,200. Like,
Right. And it's brand new.
or no, my favorite is there's a pawn shop like 30 minutes from me, and they buy bikes every once in a while, and they are just so out of touch. Like they literally Google like specialized tarmac. They're like, oh my god, $8,000 tarmac. Meanwhile, it's like 11 years old. And
Yeah.
you guys have no clue. Like
I used to tell people, like, let me think of the time frame that this would have been. Probably like 2010-ish or something like that. Like you could go online and get a bike that was a handful of years old and it would still be a pretty decent bike. And I feel like in the last 5 years or so that if a bike is more than 3 years old, the tech on it, like the way the geo is and stuff, it's just they just don't hold their value like they used to. Like I want.
it's because the bikes got so much better. You know,
Yeah.
back then bikes just equally sucked. So it was like, yeah, this thing sucks just as bad as this one. Now,
Yeah.
I think
It'd be like, oh, you could buy a bike that was 4 years old and just put a new fork on it, and it'll be just like the new ones. You know what I mean? You just need to buy you're going to break a derailleur anyway and put the new derailleur on, and it'll be fine. You know, but now it's like, no, it's not.
I mean, that's a loaded question. I feel like it depends on the level of the rider and the budget. If you're talking about an entry level rider, and we're talking like a sub $1,500 used budget, no, something 4 or 5 years old, I think will still be okay.
You think
Once
so?
they're like intermediate and they actually start.
But think of this though, Cody. The 4 or 5-year-old bike that's $1,500. You could get pretty much a new bike that's the bottom of the line from some, you know, direct to consumer type of company, and it's probably going to be better than that 5-year-old.
Okay, would you rather go get a brand new Polygon or a used Santa Cruz Bronson on Envies?
Yeah, okay, you got me there.
I mean,
It depends though. Like it depends if you're looking like what you're, like is that the original?
that's why I said that's why I said that's a loaded statement. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
In the beginning, in the early stages, like yeah, no, it really doesn't matter that much. I mean, yes, it does help them to have better componentry, but
Yeah.
newer, lower end stuff isn't necessarily better as older, mid to high range stuff. Granted, as
Yeah.
long as the older stuff was taken care of properly, or at least if it's in nice enough condition that we can restore it to 100% functionality, then like yes, those are variables that we need that are there.
Yeah.
But once you start getting into okay, you're starting to hit jumps and drops and stuff. Okay, now like suspension matters a little bit more. You need something that has some small bump sensitivity like adjustments, I mean high speed, low speed, and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's when you really need to kind of look at okay, like what are we actually trying to spend here? Like if are you under that $1,500 budget, then yeah, you probably need to buy something older that you're just going to huck until it breaks and just do it again.
Yeah.
Or is if because now it's like, dude, if you have $3,000 right now, boy, oh my god, you could get something real sweet right now for $3,000, and like
Yeah, but you could only get half of that Huffy that I used on the thumbnails.
yeah, but like so, and I want to
Yes,
say
no, but $3,000 though right now is definitely
it's insane.
That's a good it's a sweet spot right now for sure.
But see, that's the thing is there's so many bikes right now that are about that price that people are having to drop their price to be competitive. Like I saw a current generation Enduro for $1,900.
Yeah.
The Jensen one, yeah, Jensen posted it at what 25. There's still people asking 36 and 37 for comp builds, bro.
Yeah.
And especially with some of the bigger companies dumping old stuff through various avenues, and especially when I started buying and selling, I started noticing these patterns, especially like when Nuke Proof went under, that one company that bought all their shit, and it was that shit with the quickness. And even like other companies, it's hard because I don't want to like say too much without giving my fucking shit away. But there are bigger companies that have years of product, like last 3 years, especially through COVID. I know of at least 3 companies that have multiple years of different products, and they close them out to random like Jensen and stuff like that. But they have to do it. They have to do it in doses, because if they do it all at once, it's gonna tank everything. Granted, those closeouts are still gonna rip the market. Like, do you remember when Kona did that 2-for-1, bro?
Yeah, right.
I lost my shit. But do you know what was even more impressive? Is at that time, if you looked at the used market, if you bought a 2-for-1 and tried to sell it, you probably wouldn't make money.
Yeah. I think Marin did something like that too. It was like if you bought any bike, they'd give you a hardtail for free or something like that.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of crazy when you see them. Like, wait, obviously, they were, Kona at the time was strapped for cash, and they solved a bunch of their own issues. But like when you see them able to do that, like again, like Jensen last week, it was set of envies on a Hydrus, $800.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how it levels. You know what I mean? Does it like, because you look at a brand like Santa Cruz, for example, and in my opinion, they make really good bikes, but they're also for some reason, they've gotten themselves to a like a price level that just seems a little bit ludicrous, where even just the frame set is $4,000, and you're like, come on, man, that's That's ridiculous. You guys are one of the biggest bike companies out there. I feel like your economies of scale should be able to get your frames cheaper than $4,000. You know.
Well, I mean,
But on the other hand, they're good bikes, right? You know.
But for now, you know what I mean. When we have competing companies going consumer direct, and they're able to offer a comparable bike for a fraction of the price. Like if you look at their top tier e-bike with the hecklers, like what, $11,000-$12,000. You go look
That's
at the
ridiculous.
YT, it's like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Like why are we talking 20%, 20-30% discrepancy here in top tiers? And like they're both going to be sick bikes. They're both are not running their own proprietary engine or software, so they're buying that stuff. You know what I mean? So even still, outsourcing the electronics, the motor and the battery, how are we still at a 20% price discrepancy?
Yeah, I think it comes down to the size of the company and how many people's salaries they have to pay. And I think the direct to consumer brands can run leaner. That's my assumption. I
mean, and I feel like a lot of these companies established where they are, where they're based, and where they're priced in the market. So like Santa Cruz is established; they're a high-end niche brand. We are Santa Cruz. We sell high-end bikes. Is what we do. They don't.
Yeah. We're not dentist bikes. We're chiropractor bikes.
Well, no, the thing is like you don't see Santa Cruz simping like Specialized to make an entry-level bike. They don't care. Don't need it. If you can't afford it, go on.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Yeti model, right?
Yeah. But then you see like a company like GT, for example. GT, we've known them to make high-end bikes, but like, how many GTs do you see in the wild? Like how many GTs not in a resort town do you see in the wild? Like how many people bought a GT? This is my experience. I'm just saying, not very many. And so you go on their website and you look and you see bike for $7,000. I'm like, who is buying this?
Right.
What the? If I knew someone that spent $7 on a GT, bro, first week, come and say that. I'm gonna smack the shit out you, and then we're gonna have a conversation about this. Like, no.
Right.
Not saying it's a bad bike. I'm just saying their brand notoriety, and I don't associate that with that kind of dollar. Like that makes zero sense to me. And I think now that there's going to be a bigger cash grab for the entry level, because the not as using my words wisely. Give me a second.
I think what you're getting at is like the bigger brands that are willing to continue to make higher end bikes. They're gonna ride the storm like that, and then what's going to be left is like all these sales are going to be over, so you're not going to be able to pick up a new Santa Cruz for $3,500 anymore, and then they're going to be back to being $5,000-$6,000, and now you're going to have this big gap where it's people that want to get started are going to be like looking, okay, let's get some entry level stuff.
So there's some complexities to that. Mm-hmm. So the people that are spending $5,000, realistically $6,500 and up, that's not going to change. They're true to their brands. It's going to be Yeti, Santa Cruz, maybe a couple of those niche brands, right?
Yeah.
And then you have this spread from like a top tier bike that's not quite an S-Works to like a comp, right? And those are basically like what? That's $3,500 up to like $65,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have like the entry levels, which start is basically like 25 and below. Okay. We have so many of these mid-range bikes that companies are backstocked years, straight up, like years. Some of them, if they're not out of stock, they're overstocked. Mm-hmm. And so they're slowly going to start trickling these things down, right? So these things are going to get closed out. We're going to start seeing that. They've been doing that slowly. These bikes are still selling. This entry-level market exploded during COVID. That's why, Bikes Online was so successful, because they could not pump enough of these $1,300 bikes out. They couldn't. Yeah. Like Giant usually has like a hold on it because they have the stance, but now there's like literally a whole company to this $3,000 and under. Like they even have 2 e-bikes under $3,200, bro. Like,
Really?
Yes, it's not the
Who's
sickest
this?
thing. But Polygon, Bikes Online, they
Oh,
distribute
Polygon. Okay, yeah, okay. So
Polygon
Polygon is Bikes Online's brand. I
in
didn't know
America.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it's like it does. Bikes Online does their distribution, but Bikes Online does a number of different companies. But Bikes Online, I don't know what meeting they got going down, but dude, some of their pricing's like, yo, what? Like, because even they do closeouts on parts, and it's like they had X2s for like $200. They had Fox 38 for like 300 the other day. Like I was pissed. Like I didn't get to my computer in time. Like those
Yeah.
stupid like emails. You always like yeah sale. I'm sure like no, you open those ones, bro. Let me tell you. Like,
Yeah. Well, I know the 27.5 38 because I bought a couple of 38s just recently, and I know the 27.5 one was like blowing out. Like even on like Jensen, it was like $350 or $400.
Jensen was ruthless. I literally.
But if you were looking for a 29er though, forget about it. Like you couldn't get that kind of deal. Yeah.
Well, or those they were gone first.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think this middle market it's going to be a dog fest because it's going to be people that want lower range high end bikes or high end low range bikes. And so like I think GT, I think they're going to opt out and go low because like they haven't been doing the numbers. I
think we're still going to see a handful of brands disappear this next year. Like I think you're still going to see some, because like what you said there, I mean, a brand like GT makes sense. It's kind of like the Diamondback situation, like these are the brands that were huge in BMX when it was like the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
And now they're, basically nobody rides them,
Like,
so I think their way to come back onto the market is that entry level spot. Like build something that's as good as you possibly can, because like you said, there's nobody that's going to show up with $7,000 and buy a GT.
I want a GT. Like
yeah.
No. And
but on the other hand, I bet you that GT spec'd, because you'll be looking at some of the like bottom builds or like of Santa Cruz, for example, or something like that, and it's like a GX build and they want $8,500, and you're like, are you serious? Like we're almost to $10,000 and you're giving me like GX?
But like I don't know, what sacrifices are you willing to make in a bike build at that price point? None. I want what I want. I don't know. No.
Yeah.
Like I think the most I've spent on a bike was like maybe like 3. That was like, I think that was my old 29er stump jumper. That was like,
I just don't understand why they're charging so much for the frames. Like that's the part where it just really boggles me. Well,
it's that boomer complex, bro. They've been making X amount of percentage for so long. Inflation goes up. They're like, well, what we make isn't going to go down.
Yeah.
And so it's just been creeping up. And like
I feel like they raised the prices of their frames to get it close enough to the price of an entry level bike, so that you're in a spot where you're like, oh man, for another $1,500, I could just get the whole build, and then I could sell those parts, or you know what I mean? Like they're trying to like walk you into just buying a bike instead. Because think about it, like a Bronson, you could buy a Bronson frame because they only sell the CC for $4,000, but you can buy a Bronson C for like $5,000 with wheels and shocks and everything.
The cost to produce the frame, I think, is also substantially different.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you look at the direct to consumer brands, and they're selling them for still around $2,500, maybe $3,000. So it tells you that, I mean, if they're making a profit, obviously they're still spending similar amount of money as Santa Cruz or Yeti or whoever it is that we're talking about, because I think even like Transition's another boutique brand. They make great bikes, but their frames are grit too.
But how much is a Transition repeater?
I don't know. Somebody that's in the chat, look it up for us. What were you going to say? And I'll try to look it up.
I think they start at 10
for the
their
whole
e-bike.
build. Okay, or just the frame.
I think the whole bike starts at like 10.
All right, let's see what I got here. I gotta accept all these freaking all this shit. Oh wait, I can actually pull it up on the screen. Imagine that freaking technology and shit, right? Let's see. I should have used the other tab. Here we go. All right. So is this the repeater? Yeah. Well, it's on sale right now for $89.99. GX axis. But if you want XO, then guess what? $10,199. Marked down from 12 grand. So where's the can you get the frame? I don't even know. I don't know if I don't have a slider.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. You know, like that's the part that's really hard for me to like even wrap my head around, that bikes are selling for 12.
They're selling for more than dirt bikes.
Yeah. I mean, that's been that way for a while, you know, but
no,
12 grand for a bicycle?
No, you can get what was it? Like an acoustic Specialized or a Works Honda 450 were the same price. Like not even eBay. Like that to me is getting kind of mind blowing. Like I
was looking at the bike and I forgot to pull it up on the screen. I'm like, oh yeah, of course you can see what I'm talking about. No. Yeah. What you were saying?
10 racks. Jesus, like.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just, I mean, I don't know, man. Like I like riding good stuff. I mean, obviously, I mean, all my bikes have pretty much top of the line shit on it, but
yeah, did you say
not all of it, right? You know, or you're like you're in the industry enough that you get all the bro deals and you know, stuff like that. So then it's like, oh, okay, but if I was actually having to pay 10 grand to ride the bike that I'm riding right now, it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen.
Dude, you know? Like I've ridden some bikes where it was like, okay, like we got a deal on this. And like stuff starts happening, and I'm like, okay, I'm not mad because I got a deal on it, but like, yo, if someone who didn't get a deal on this and this started happening, I would be livid, absolutely livid. Like, do you remember when whatchamacallit, like the big the SRAM did their brake recall for the guides? Like that was so messy. You know, could you imagine getting like a brand new Yeti or some crap and they're like, "Oh, sorry, sir, we need to like bring your bike in," or like your brakes just like don't work? Like I like, what do you mean they can't see the sun or something like that?
Right. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So looping back around to the infinite amount of material on the marketplace, it's amazing to me that somebody bought a bike 10 years ago for, let's say, $6,000, which 10 years ago was a damn expensive bike. But how do they think that if it sat in their garage and just because they didn't ride it, that it's still worth $6,000?
Yeah. So here's the thing is like, depreciation is suggestive, and it's like, to what point do they feel like it is worn down or lost value? You know what I mean? Like you might think 10%, I might think 20, and that's why people really like to lean on that Black Boo book, because it tells them, right? But it doesn't dictate. It can't really tell how hard the person rode, how well of the bike they took of it, you know what I mean? Or even to like what level the bike is built. And so, I mean, in most cases, actually, it's like this past week I've been looking in Florida and I've noticed that there's like a lot of super high-end bikes, but they're not ridden that hard. Like they're super
I've
fresh.
I've I've bought a couple of bikes from that area, and almost every time that's the case. Like I bought a Bronson where it's like, dude, where in Florida are you riding a Bronson?
Right,
Like,
dude.
you know, like they
I,
don't even have hills. They own the highest hill is like an overpass. You
I,
know?
I have a couple friends down there, and I see some stories and stuff, and I'm like, yo, there's you don't need Eagle. You need a single speed and just to enjoy doing the laps
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah, but you'll see a boatload of freaking mega towers down there on sale, and
Dude,
you're like, why
no,
do
they
you have a
have
170 bike? Are you flying somewhere every weekend?
no,
You
dude,
know?
there's so many. There was like a 2000, it was like 2018 Enduro, and it was carbon. And this dude, I think he wanted it's like 6,500 for it. It was like seriously, I haven't made a video about it. I was going to, but I fell asleep the other night. I was like, but you look at it, and this thing is like brand new. Like,
Mhm.
like he rode it on the bike path and cleaned it every single time. I was like,
Right.
okay, dude. Like, whatever you want to do with your time and money, that's on you, man.
Yeah.
But then like, so like Florida, it'll be like, okay, there's some like super high end stuff that's not well used. You're like, okay, like I would have no problem buying from there. And then like you look in like I got another one in before Florida. I was in Ohio. Oh my god, dude. You'd see some like he put that together and he trusts that. Oh, okay.
Are you looking at like
Okay.
Craigslist for that for the geographics, or is there a way that you're changing?
So
Because Facebook doesn't show you stuff out, like it doesn't
yes,
let
it
you
does.
choose these. Like it does.
Yeah, and you can set the
Uh,
mile range and everything.
but I think the mile range maxes out at like 500, doesn't it?
Yeah, but you can also change where you want to change your geotag location. So yeah, no.
I never pay attention to that much. I'm
Wow.
like, I'm sliding that slider down to like 100 miles. I'm like, that's a lot of gas. I don't know.
Like, wait, I've driven actually this past year. I bought a bike on the way to Whistler. It was a carbon YT decoy, and I sold my Polygon. I beat the daylights out of that thing. And I was like, I want an e-bike for Whistler, and so I was looking. That's when I was looking for the decoys, and I
Mhm.
couldn't afford to wait for the new one because it was going to come out after. It was only $3,000, but I just couldn't afford to wait.
Yeah, because they were dropping the old ones pretty. My buddy bought one of the old ones, and it was like ridiculous. Like he got a
Oh,
38 and like
dude, their bottom.
everything. It was like it was around $3,000. I was
Yeah,
surprised how good of a build it was too.
no, they were having them. They were $3,200 before they even landed. Like they weren't
Yeah.
even on blowout. They were still on the ocean, and they were on like I was like, are you like fuck me, dude? Like that's.
So
But
you picked
anyway,
one up on your way to Whistler, though?
on the way to Whistler in the middle of the small town, middle of BFE, Oregon, like the middle of nowhere. Like my friend lives in the middle of nowhere, and we were on the way to my friend's house. I was like, oh, this dude ain't nothing. Well, it was like a small town, but like we drove through it in like a minute and a half.
Right, right,
And dude, yeah, it was a carbon YT decoy, $1,700.
right on. Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's a deal, dude. You got a
I
good
used
deal
it
on
for
that.
Whistler, and then I sold it for like I think 24, 22, 23, something like
Yeah,
that.
right on.
But yeah, no, you can pick up bikes in the middle of nowhere because they're people, especially if they sit for a second. Oh, dude, oh, that low ball's going down, damn.
There's some people though, man. You'll see them on freaking Pink Bike, dude, and you're like, this bike has been on here for 6 months. And you'll see like the post is still active as of 3 days ago, and these
That's what
fools
I.
are not budging. They're like, do not dare, offer me anything less than 10 grand for this thing. You're like, you're high as a kite, dude. Do you think it's supposed to take 6 months to sell a bike? Yeah.
Well, that's because Pink Bike is the like land of la dreams when it comes to selling bikes, honestly. And like, I buy very little from there. I think and
Yeah.
like I think this year I've probably bought. I don't know, somewhere upwards of like maybe like 30-ish bikes, 35
Yeah.
bikes. Not one has come from Pink Bike.
Yeah. I've bought components from Pink Bike. I don't think I've bought a bike from Pink Bike though.
Yeah, sometimes components, because like if I'm like building something, it's easier to find something with like a specific dropper size or something like that.
Or you can find like takeoffs, or it's like, oh, I'm trying to find a cheap set of aluminum wheels for this build that I'm doing, and there'll be a bunch of them on there. Whereas if you just go to your local Facebook, it's not likely that you're gonna find.
No, it's pretty popping, bro. Because like I live in San Diego, so San Diego's okay, but I also am not afraid to drive to LA. So LA is only like 2 hours.
I'm in Sacramento, and I mean, for me, there's, you have the Bay Area stuff too, but yeah, I don't know. It seems like it's all right, but it's not like super good,
I will also make a mission out of buying stuff. So like if I know that I can, make X amount on this bike, I will look in the surrounding area and send as many low balls out while I'm driving to the first one. Yeah. Try to line up the second one.
It's like that show with the American Pickers. You're like, just like, oh, I'm rolling into LA. I'm gonna hit up all the spots.
You would be surprised. Like I remember in my early days when I was working in my I'd be at work and I would be on offer up. I'd buy like a bike, and we had the work van was a freaking a beat down Econoline with like typical no back windows, barely runs, fucking dude. So I was a sight showing up to people's houses. Yeah, I'm here, look at the bike. Black guy gets out of the bike and they're like, but yeah, no, and it's really crazy to me that people don't believe some of the deals that I post. Yeah. And it's honestly because it's like there's so many out there, and like dude, there was this kid the other day, he sold, it was an intense carbine and a sniper for it's like $2,000 for the both of them.
I think it's fun that you also post like when you see a really good deal too. Like there was a DJ that you were talking about the other day, and you were like, man, I'm putting this up because I want somebody to get it because I don't want to buy it, But I think that's cool that you do that. And then on the flip side, it's the one that I always send people whenever I'm like, dude, have you been following this guy? And they're like, no, I never heard of him. I always send them the one. It's like the e-bike conversion kit that the guy did on his own, and he's like says that it's like super clean, and it just looks like they like taped freaking like Lego blocks all over it, and just cables and wires going everywhere.
Yeah, that was.
I think you said something in that one like you're a pedal strike away from like a forest fire or something.
Yeah, dude. I don't know if you're crying. Yeah, apparently like the company kit was actually called Stealth, and like I was like, okay, Stealth bomb, it's not Stealth. And then like people are like, oh, it's the name of the kit. I'm like, I know it's the name of the kit, but I was just making fun that the name of the okay, obviously you guys don't get it, but like I'm not gonna explain this in the comments.
Right. But hey, whatever it takes for the interactions, right?
Dude, yeah, and like yeah, people get triggered pretty easily. It's surprising. I called Saint Breaks mid, and people were up in arms about it.
Oh yeah.
My opinion, I'm sorry. Like, and they were like, "What? How could you? You know what you're talking about. Oh, I used to, think highly of you until I saw this. Now I know you're just full of crap." I was like, "Dog, if you didn't think I was full of crap until now, you got bigger problems." But okay. Yeah.
So what is up with Shimano? When are they bringing out new brakes? Because seriously, it's like the Saint train has been on the tracks for a long time.
Yeah, so Saint was sick when I was still racing downhill on a 26.
Mm-hmm.
Not trying to age myself, but I mean, there's some of these kids that have never ridden a 2.6. I'm not saying it's a lot of people, but I'm just saying, like, back in the day when, the 2.6 stallions roam the earth, shout out Grizz if you're watching this. yeah, that was like badass stuff. And like, because there were like iterations of Saint. Remember, like when they had like, there was like the flattish looking lever, and then they changed the lever style to this one. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Then what? Then what? Like every once in a while, like some of the Trek boys will race locally, and you'll see they'll have like different fan things that they'll be testing with the Shimano
Yeah.
stuff. Dude,
What's your break of choice?
I want to own a set of Mavens before I say that.
Mm-hmm.
I've had TRPs, I've had codes.
I've tried those Mavens on some demo bikes over the summer, and I almost felt like they were too strong.
Oh, no such
Like,
thing. No such
like
thing.
there was when I was riding them on the full, like a full e-bike,
Mm-hmm.
they felt really good for that bike, but I had ridden them on another bike that was much lighter, and it just felt like it was almost too snappy on that. And like I and this, and full disclosure, I like Saints. I like that Shimano like bite, that super fast bite.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason on that bike, that lighter bike with those, I don't know if maybe it was just like those brakes weren't set up right or something, but it just felt like it was like I didn't have any modulation, you know?
Yeah. But have you tried the Lewis's?
No, I haven't. I've seen those, and then there's that. Is Lewis the real brand, or is it the brand that's like biting off of somebody else? I because there's like two of those that look exactly the same, and one of them's like some Chinese company.
I feel like I should have read. Pink Bike did an article about this. I should have read this. I
Is
don't know.
Lewis the one that's actually from Germany, or is Lewis the one that's from China?
I think Lewis is from China.
Okay, so then it's the
Actually,
other brand.
no shit. I'm gonna unsay that because I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like I checked for the Lewis thing, and I like
Lewis brakes. Let me see. We'll get to it. We'll get to the bottom of this real quick. Or here we'll do Lewis brakes. Similar design.
Plus, I just because I feel like I reached out.
Trick Stuff. Yeah, so Trick Stuff is the German brand. Lewis is the Chinese brand. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. Boo, rough. They just ripped off Trick Stuff. Damn.
Well, and it seemed like they were doing like who is it? There's a YouTuber that one of the guys up in the PNW. It's like Dangerous Dave, or there's another guy that has a channel that's close to his as well, and he did like a full breakdown of it, and it seemed like in the beginning they were pretty blatantly like, yeah, we reversed and engineered their shit. And then later they kind of like changed their PR, and they're like, no, we totally changed the lever. You know, like this is our design. But at this point, I was thinking about trying them just to see, because I mean, I looked at them and the Trick Stuff ones, and I was like, I haven't tried those brakes. Like, I'm down to try some new shit, you know?
Trick Stuff's what? It's like $1,000.
It's grit. Yeah, it's grit. Yeah. Where the Lewis ones are a couple $100 cheaper than that.
300. The Lewis for the set, I think, is like $300.
Yeah, and I think they have like their newest version. I want to say it was like 6 or something like that, but it's still like dramatically cheaper than the Trick.
Yeah, stuff. Like how almost I mean, the Trick stuff is like.
So I switched from Saints to the TRPs, and for like a long time of riding the TRPs, I was like, man, it's too much. It's too squishy for me. I want that Shimano snapback, you know. Yeah. And then I switched back to Saints, and then I was like, well, wait a minute, maybe I do like the TRP. So now I'm in this state of flux where I don't know what brakes I really like, but I just bought a couple of sets of Saints, so you might see them coming up on the marketplace.
No, I had actually on my hardtail, it was an EXO lever. This is probably like the 2010 generation when they had like the carbon bladed lever. And I say that because I kept that lever for the lever assembly for the feel of that lever, because it was just and then the code, and this is back when the XO would be like it'd either be in like blue or red. And I ran that break on my hardtail for like it's like I want to say like 5 or 6 years. It's like I got this break. I was like, wow, and I just kept it alive, whatever it took. And I remember I took it to the Strand booth at Crankworks one year, and the dude looked to me. He's like, "Dude, this is it's been like discontinued for like a few years, right?" And I was like,
yeah.
"But can you fix it?"
I'll tell you what, if you haven't with the TRPs, try those Freedom Coast levers, and they freaking knocked it out of the park with those levers.
I don't know what it is. I think I'm finally getting older, so I'm actually developing taste. Well, sorry, not taste, but I'm not a fan of CNC, the look of CNC. Like
I see what you're saying.
some people love it. I'm a fan of just smooth carbon lines. Give me just like
Yeah, I get it.
shadowy aesthetic. Some people are all about CNC. I'm full for that for development. Cool, all right.
I can tell you right now, if what the reason that I say that you have to try them has nothing to do with the way they look. It's literally like when you put your hand on it, you're like, oh my God, just like the way that it feels like for the pool and stuff. It's dramatically different than the TRP levers. And I had a guy at a local shop when I walked in, and he's like, oh, check out these levers. And I had already had somebody else tell me about them a couple weeks before that. I was like, oh yeah, no, I heard about him. He's like, no, that's great. He's like, come over here and put your hands on them. And then once I put my hands on him, I was like, oh, wow, that does feel really good.
Yeah.
Like the way that it hooks, like right where your finger is, it's like, oh man, that just feels good.
See, I'm a flat lever guy. Like
you are?
levers were always flat. You know what I mean? They have the ball at the end, but they feel,
yeah. I know what you're saying.
So like to me, like home is like a flat lever, and I remember like I had a couple of friends that had like nicer freestyle BMX bikes, and they have those those 2-finger freaking levers that are like they're like hooked out. You're like, how do you even reach that thing?
Yeah. I think the levers that I used to use back in the BMX day had some kind of like little hook in it like that too, and maybe that's where it comes from. I don't know.
For sure,
I had a set of handlebars when I used to ride BMX too that had like a little bend to them. Those bars were like the most comfortable bars I ever had. I can't remember what they were. It's like almost like a little bit of a concave bend, like where the grips were.
Did they come like that, or did you just bend them?
Yeah, no, they came that way. They were like that. It was like a fucking aftermarket specialty thing. Mm. And I remember because I rode one of my friend's bikes that had them, and after I rode his bike, I was like, dude, those are sick. Yeah. And then later he was like building some new bike. I was like, I'll buy those from you, man. But I'm sure it got stolen. That's what happens with that's the at least that's the way it was with BMX bikes back in the day, right? It's like everybody that had a sick BMX bike got stolen. Now the BMX bikes, my buddy, I have a friend that's like doing BMX now, older guy, and he's like, yeah, look at this bike. It's like freaking $3,000 for a BMX bike. It's all carboned out and shit. It's like, holy shit, dude.
The BMX, two things. One, I think it was Scotty Kramer or something like that. His brother got a Thai BMX bike built. That thing was beautiful, and I went and priced one out, and it was like well over $4,000 for like a hand fabric. Like you send the dude your specs. He doesn't stock them. You send him your specs because I really wanted a 22-inch top tube dirt jumper like BMX bike with disc brakes. It's like they don't have that, and like I really wanted one, and I priced that out, and I was like, okay, not a shot. And then two, I was like, I've been watching like BMX race videos, and you're like, this guy's not that quick. Come on. So I was like, let me price out a bike real quick. Dude, what the this is S-Works money we're talking about. Holy crap, bro.
Yeah, I didn't know it changed like that. Because I remember like in my head, it's like I remember like saving up all my money from my paper route to get the $300 mongoose that was like the sickest bike in the world.
Dude,
Like
even like when I raced in high school, like I remember like the intense podium was like $1,500 or $1,600 ish, dude. What was it? It's the what's that component company? Shoot, I'm gonna hate myself for forgetting. But this dude, they come to the track down here, and I was like, oh, they have like a
probably
complete.
Box.
No, it's not Box.
The component company.
Bombshell.
Okay.
The Bombshell complete kids carbon bike is like $3,500. And I say like it's like kids. I'm talking like 18-inch, like 18-inch skinny tire.
Yeah.
I was like, and like I go to the track, like I see those couple of fucking things. You like, are you you see Dad on the side of the track, Beto! I'm like, yeah, motherfucking Dad just dropped a rack on your little ass bike. You better. The fuck? That is a used Tacoma underneath your 5-year-old ass. You better get up off. Fuck me, bro. I was like, I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it.
I
That's
feel
why
like
he's
BMX
so
is like
bad.
making it. BMX is making a comeback, man.
I mean, I feel like BMX has always been there for the core culture and the core people that are there, and like the people that are like around BMX. I would say it's coming back to being mainstream again. I feel like it kind of made a resurgence back when the Olympics came because people became really more aware of it.
Yeah.
But I think another thing is that it's kind of something to do.
Yeah, and it's cheaper. I mean, it's a single speed bike. I mean,
It's a
you can go
cheaper,
buy. You know what I'm saying?
but it's a really more of a family oriented atmosphere. Like the BMX track near me, bro. They got a playground. They got a little strider track. They got like a little actual separate fenced off playground for like little nuggets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They had a candy shack and they had a taco cart. Bro, I was like, what the? It's like, you could bring the fam, like let the little Rugrats cruise around on the Striders and the Stay Six, go yell at the one on the track, bro. Meanwhile, mom's, drinking her wine in the stands, like, dog, like, yeah, like, and like, especially I feel like now that, I can't say this, but people my age are having kids and like they race BMX. I'm seeing people my age taking their kids, and I'm like, makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot more sense. But it
Yeah,
is.
no, I mean, I think there was a point when mountain bikes started getting popular that the youth of America changed from having everybody had BMX bikes back then, and then it turned into like you have to have a mountain bike. And even if you were just riding around the street, and that's why like Walmart and everybody sells the shit out of like those. But I think what you're starting to see now is that even those bikes, like when you're buying those cheap, like let's just say mountain bikes from Walmart or whatever, that type of Target or something like that, like they have a bunch of problems because there's like these like super cheap components, right? Whereas you get a BMX bike, and it's a single speed and it's less things to go wrong,
Well, I will say this, that grocery stores, they outsource the assembly of those bikes. So they're actually, when D2 put those bikes together, they're paid by the complete bike, not by the hour. So how much attention do you think that dude's really going to pay?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
go into any Target and actually look at all the bikes and how they're built.
They're all trash.
I was at a fundraiser where not too long ago where they went and bought like 5 bikes from Target, and every one of them the fork was on backwards.
Yeah.
Like every one of them. It wasn't even like the guy with like the dude was just like, I don't fucking
he just putting that shit together to the drill. Next one. Next. It's on there. I didn't say to be on straight. All right, it's on there. All right.
Yeah.
But
so what happened with the racing for you?
You gotta be real. The first time was back when I leveled myself at a snowshoe, and I was like, I'm not going World Cup, bro. We're gonna get smoked, or you're gonna die. One of the two. And then I was on enduro kick. I was racing enduros pretty good. I was winning a lot locally. And then I broke my collarbone. And then I like tried to go racing EWS, like off, like without even riding, like, and it was not good. It was not fun.
Yeah.
I like cried and shit, bro. That was like so miserable. Like we missed one day of practice because someone died on the freeway on the way out there. So we were stuck in our cars for like 12 hours, something like that, outside of Vegas.
Yeah.
Tried racing at EWS, raced half of it blind, it was terrifying. And then I wasn't physically ready for it. And so like literally just making some of the transfers, it was like, I remember I heard how long like we literally pedaled to a whole other freaking town. Like, so you do a run here, right? You take the lift up. After you take the lift up, you pedal up for another hour. Okay. Then you do that run down. That run down takes about, I think it was like 18 minutes was my first time of descending.
Yeah.
Descending.
Yeah, balls to the wall descending too.
Yeah, full face. Like you wanted a full face. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We pedaled to a whole nother fucking town, and it was like, I think the transfer took me, it was like a little over 2 hours, and I was like, bro, that transfer was my longest ride ever. We still have to I'm thinking in my head, I was like, yo, we have to go back. Yo, we have to go back. You know? And I'm like, oh fuck, we have to go back. Like, oh my god. So like, you pedal to the other town, right? You get on the left, and then you pedal up more after that one, and then you do the rundown. And I remember, because like you have like a sheet on your top tube, right? And then they're like,
Yeah.
Okay, this is what you have, like your start times or whatever. And I remember looking at the time, I'm like, I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it. I'm like looking at my time and looking at what time it is. I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna make it. And I was like, dude, like 8 hours on this. Like it was 8 hours on the bike, bro. Like eight hours on the bike, like moving time. This wasn't just like dicking around with the boys. This was like finish stage, take off helmet while rolling and keep going. Cause like we're
yeah, that's a long day, man. That's a long day. I know anytime I get over 5 hours, I start contemplating if I really like bikes anymore.
Like I tell you, I could be on a boat. I could be on a boat. But yeah, I was like literally crying. I was in so much pain. I was like, fuck this. If I get a time penalty for 2 fucking minutes after all this some bullshit, I finished it. I did less than 2 minutes to make my cutoff time. I was like, oh my God. And then I was like, okay, so maybe enduro isn't my thing. So I was building up, you know what I mean? But I was like, damn, that was not that sick. And at that time, I kind of had some speed, and I was like, I wanted to race slalom and pump track, and I was like, okay, let's just like push on these. I feel like I could probably race pump track now. When I raced it before, I wasn't as efficient. I was doing manuals, and I could do all this stuff, but like, there's like you got to kind of calm down to go faster. You know what I mean? And you look at like it's just So I was racing pump track slalom, and then let's see, broke a couple hands, wrist. Then Big Bear used to do this Crafts and Cranks festival, and and they would do like a bunch of events. It'd be like downhill, slalom, high jump, slopestyle, whatever. And one of the ones is high jump, and not a lot of people entered. And I was like, well, I'll enter. Fuck it. And then there weren't that many people left. It's like 4 people left, but 3 people get paid, right? And I'm like,
right. Well, this seems good.
I'm not that great of a dirt jumper, but I like money.
Right.
Yeah, like I think it was like 3rd place got a G. So if someone gets eliminated, I'm walking away here with a G. Like, fuck, okay,
right.
Fuck, okay, yeah. Got to a point I like knocked it down. I was like, shit, okay. Knocked it down again. I was like, fuck, okay. And I was like my last time. I was like, shit. Like, just fuck it. Just don't be pussy. Just don't be pussy. The combination of this jumping, terribly shaped, downhill with a tailwind, compound that with a crowd, ego, and money. So like, common sense is gone, All right, so I come up, pull up on this jump, and I'm like, oh wow, this is bad. And I just jump off. I'm like, oh fuck. And like I've been doing some little bit of jumping at my buddy's house this past week. So I was like, oh no, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. And when I landed, I looked down, I rolled my ankle when I landed. I was like, oh shit, rolled my ankle. Problem is it kept going. So the inside of my foot actually ended up touching my shin. That makes sense.
Ugh.
And I closed my eyes. I was like, oh my god, that didn't happen. That did not happen. And at this point, I'm like sliding down the landing, right? And I open my eyes, and my foot is facing the wrong way. I was like, oh, close them again. Nope, shit. Shit. Oh, God damn it. Shit, what do we do? Shit, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And, oh, dude, this is classic. So I'm like, oh, fuck, like, shit's fucked. I'm like, okay, and then very not okay. You know what I'm saying? You know, like,
yeah.
And they're like, trying to call a paramedic, ambulance, all this other shit. I'm like, no. We do not have health insurance. No. So I'm like screaming at my sister, Danny! Like she comes over, she's all crying and shit. Everyone's all freaking out. Get the fucking truck. She's like, what? Yeah. Get the truck. Bring it here. And she's like, there's like people. It's like a festival. I was like, get the fucking truck. And she's just like, and this paramedic's like, yeah, okay, hold on. Let me counteract you here. I have just one small thing here. He's like, you're fucking this shit's fucked up. Okay. If we get you in the truck, there's a chance you could bleed out on the drive down. And I was like, huh? He's like, yeah, you could die. And I was like, Danny, come on. Let's call mom. Let's call mom. I'm like 24 years old. Call my mom. I'm like, mom. Hey, don't freak out. Kind of fell. I don't have health insurance, but they want to put me in a helicopter. Should we drive? She's like, what the? You better get your stupid ass on that helicopter. Give Danny the phone. I'm pissed. Get his ass on the. I was like, oh my, okay, yeah. Well, we can go. She said we'll figure it out, but it's like it's fine. Just put me in. I don't want to deal with that when I get home. Let's just wrap it up.
Right.
And so from there I went to some shitty hospital because it was a compound break, but I never saw it broken because it was my foot was facing the wrong. Like my leg was pointing this way. The ankle foot was just like all dangling down, but it was this bone was sticking out, but I never saw it because it was always pointed away from me. So when people would come and talk to me, first thing they would see would be broken ass. Oh, I'm like, what? Is it that bad? They're like, oh no, you're good.
Everything's good.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're straight, baby. You're great. Just,
but maybe you shouldn't get the truck.
yeah. I was literally like, put me in the back. Like I'm like, I don't care. Let's do this.
Yeah. So that was the moment where you're like, all right, I need to pull back from this.
Oh no, dude. If you know me, you know I'm stupid. So I had one surgery there. That hospital sucked ass. So my mom took me out. Like they're like, oh, he's stable. This and I was like, okay, back, cool, out of here. All right. But it was still separated, right? So when I would stand up, like I could feel my leg just fucking like it wasn't cool. Did not feel good. So whatchamacallit? We had another surgery 3 days later. And then 2 days after the surgery, I actually went to Crankworks. So I was supposed to go.
There you go.
I was supposed to go to Whistler and race. And my sister and my boyfriend, they're like, because like it's a trip we take every year, and I'm like one of the ones that plans a trip, and they're like, well, we're not leaving him, so they changed the whole trip so they could bring me. I stayed in the car like a dog on the drive up, but I was involved. I was there. They all rode bikes. I was smoking like a chimney, just sitting in the truck, like whatever, like right. Chill. And then so that was like I fell in July, went to Crankworks in August, and then in November I get an email for this race in Colombia, and I was like, "Say what?" And they're like, "Oh, what was it? It was like they'll Oh, they would. I think no, they paid for everything actually. No, we got reimbursed. Yeah, no, they paid for everything. But we ended up staying a couple extra days because it's Colombia, obviously.
Right.
But so anyhow, and I'm still in a boot at this point. Like I haven't actually walked to take my shoe. I haven't walked in a shoe yet. I get this race, invite this race in Colombia. Text a couple of my friends, like they're going. I'm like, fuck, let's go. Like, let's go. I haven't touched a bike since
Since your foot was backwards.
I don't even have a downhill bike at this point, right? So I got on my phone. I literally sent a couple texts, and I was like, "Hey, bro, like, can I borrow your bike for 4 days?" He's like, "Aren't you in a cast?" I was like, "Don't ask questions you don't need the answer to, sir."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. This is not the logic I'm looking for, man.
Yeah, right. And buddy was like, "What do you need a downhill bike for?" And I was like, "I want to go do this urban race." He's like, "You're not taking my wheels." And I was like, "Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I can take your bike." He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay, cool." So we're literally packing my bike up. We're putting the wheels on because I haven't ridden it. And I remember that I pedaled out in my old house, and I did there's a set of stairs that went down to a grass area, and I put on a shoe for the first time, and I went down one set of stairs, and I was like, "Okay, it didn't hurt. Let's go." And that was like we literally put my bike in the bag right after that to go to fucking Colombia. And mind you, so I still traveled in my boot all the way there because it still was swelling. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't quite
Right.
walking. It wasn't till I actually landed there that I took the boot off because like I went through customs and I took the boot off and I put it in my backpack right before we went out and met the organizer. So I'm like walking for the first time up to the organizer. "Hey, how's it going?" Like, "Oh, are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm just sore. Long flight." Like, "Oh, okay." Just get in the car. I was like, "Okay." And I remember like, we had to do the track walk. And the track walk was pretty long, bro. I was kind of hopping along, sitting down, trying to elevate my foot and shit, trying to keep it low key. And mind you, I still haven't ridden. Like, and this isn't like a chill track. This is like now it's like the Red Bull Cerrillo Baja race, but this is before it was the Red Bull race. And so like I remember we finally got to the practice. We helmets on. I'm about to drop in for the first time, and like the first feature's a drop, like not a not chill drop. You got to thread the needle in between a doorway to a drop to another, thread the needle to a doorway to a ladder, and like this is an urban race. There's no pull out. There's no pads.
Yeah.
You're lucky if there's a marshal there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so there's a high speed section up to it, and like mind you, there's like a long stair set into it. So it's like once you commit, like you're into it. I remember like I pulled over. This is the first time I prayed. Like I'm not a religious guy. I'm not spiritual, but I was so goddamn scared because the last time I landed on my foot, it was facing the wrong way.
Right. Rightfully so.
Here I am in Colombia in Comuna 13, Medellin, and I'm just like, "We got this, boy. Like, we got this. We got this." And I remember my buddy pulls up behind me. He's like, "You good?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, just trying not to cry. I'm like, "You're good. Like, you're good. You're good. You're good." And I remember I was so scared dropping into those stairs because I was like, "Yo, this is either gonna work or like it's gonna be a long day." Like we're nuts.
How did it end? How'd you pan out?
So I did the drop and I was like, "Oh my god!" And it was just like a wave, just like it just weight off my shoulders, just like, "Oh my gosh!" And I could just ride. It's like, okay, like I wasn't going fast. I was like, "Dude, just do the laps, just do the laps." Because like the big thing is like, dude, when I remember being laid up in the hospital and people just like messaging me like, "Oh man, like you had a good run." Like, what? I'm still on meds. You guys are writing me off? And like, even in like when I was in Whistler, people like, "Oh man, like try to see you here. You're not done." I was like, "Done? That's it? That's all it takes."
Yeah.
And so, when I had, especially after Whistler, I had that like month and a half to sit on it before I got that invite. I'm like, "Oh no, we're going." I didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
I was like, "We're going. Like, we're going. I don't care how bad we do. We're going." And I did the race and it was like fucking mid. Like I asked them because we had chips. I was like, "Hey, can I go with my friend? Can I go with my buddy? Because like he's kind of quick, and I'll give the guy behind me a gap because that guy's trying. I got one bump stick down here. I can barely pedal. Like I mean, they're like, yeah, sure. So I just did my buddy run, had fun, hit the jumps. It's like cool. And now I was like, okay, now I'm mad. So from there, I really just love urban races. I did Taxco a handful of times, did one Ensenada a handful of times, did Puerto Vallarta, and even now I still do probably like 3 or 4 urban races a year. But yeah, my evolution of going from wanting to be like, I want to be a World Cup racer to I want to race EWS to pump track. I did a podium once, Crankworks, had a couple top 8s, but nothing crazy. And now it's like, dude, I'm just having fun riding my bike, man. Like just pushing myself on my bike is so fun. And like, it's not even about money, not even about sponsors. I have enough friends and connects that I can make enough money to buy what I need. If I can't, I can ask for some help. And like, it's in this like second or third or fourth page wave or whatever you want to call it, I feel like it's the most gratifying because it's all for me. It's not to chase this or that. It's like, okay, did I make myself proud? And most people don't ask themselves that question. They're just trying to do this or that. Well, no, did you ride good? Did you try good? Like, what did you train hard? And like when you start asking yourself these questions and you hold yourself accountable for you, and the only thing that you have to gain for it is self-fulfillment, people figure out really quick if this is worth it to them. And to me, it absolutely is.
Dude,
Absolutely,
that's awesome, man.
1000%.
That's the reason, man. That's the reason to do it, dude. We hit that 2-hour mark and passed it. So
Oh snap!
yeah, dude, super fun, man. It's been a great talking to you. I always like to ask the question.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter if it has to do with bikes or not. Like, what YouTube channels do you like to watch?
Matt Birkin.
What's your algorithm looking like right now?
Matt Birkin, he does all the amateur arena crosses in the Midwest, and those are just like, it makes me feel better about myself, makes me think I can race Supercross. Whistling Diesel, obviously.
I've heard that one a bunch of times. I haven't
Have
checked
you
it out
not?
yet, though. No, I haven't watched it yet.
Bro,
I heard it's good though.
It's there, and there's so many. Like, maybe start off with the Hilux durability test. Some of them, if you're not into whistling, people are like, but like he's good. And then I don't know. I watch a lot of vloggers who like drift in Japan. As weird as that sounds.
Nice.
So
yeah,
like Samet and there's like that East Coast crew, but so I really want a drift car. Just one of the 10 hobbies I can't afford. So I just live on fantasy watching.
You know the YouTuber Lone Ranger?
No.
He's doing a
Lone Ranger?
Yeah, his name's Ryan.
I think I've seen him on Instagram. I haven't seen his YouTube.
Yeah, he has another YouTube channel where he's like learning how to be a rally car rider. And he went from like just being a rally car fan to like buying the like sim shit to like he bought a rally car and he's like learning how to like try to become a like a real rally racer. So it's hope for you, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
check it out. I think it's called like Race to Rally or something like that. I can't. I'll look it up and send it to you after the fact.
No, I told myself what's it how it goes. With age comes a cage. So when we can't race bikes anymore, we'll get a car. So I got some time left in me still.
Yeah, you do, man. Dude, it was so fun talking to you, man. I honestly had a great time. And anybody that's been listening to this podcast or watching it on YouTube, if you haven't checked out his Instagram, go over check out Rutbanger. There's a link in the show more of the YouTube channel or in the show notes of the podcast, and go over there, give him a follow. And I guarantee you will be amused because Cody's definitely got some good ones on there. So for sure, those of you that don't want to go over to his Instagram, just leave with this one thing. It only takes a bike to be a biker. So get out and be one.